Hi guys, I'm coming on early. And actually, it's only 4 minutes early. But I just like to make sure everything's working. Hi, Ellen. I've gotten on here before and it hasn't worked, so I had to make sure. From Michigan. Hi. My gosh. Yeah, people are going to start jumping on. That's good. I have a page full of questions. And I think next time I will print them out. Hi, Jen. Hi, Tracy. Oh, good. Loud and clear. Perfect. Hi, Brooke from Plano. Is that Texas? I think I wanted to move there recently. That was one of my YouTube searches. Yes. Oh my God, I hear that it's like fantastic there. Only thing I'm concerned about is tornadoes. And, well, I guess that's really the only one. But yeah, I did a whole YouTube search on Plano, Texas. You guys, I wrote down tons of questions that you guys had. And then I thought, oh, I should do what Allison does. She always just prints them out. And as I'm on my third page of writing, I thought I could have just copied this and printed it out. Mindful Avocado, you're in Portland. Have we seen each other? Are you my client or client of someone at the studio? Charlotte from Dallas. I've looked at Dallas too, many times. Many times. So next time I will just print this out. I don't know why I wrote it. Waiting for an appointment with Summer. Oh, good. You will love Summer. She is hysterical and she's super talented. Hi, Shelly from Long Beach. I'm jealous. I'm from Thousand Oaks, so I am a SoCal girl. Ellen, I have a really funny story to help explain perceptions. It's about a Texas farmer visiting his Vermont farmer cousin. We'll have to tell you one day. Yes, please. Becca is Portland transplant from Chicago. I love it. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Tammy. Yeah, we opened June 1st. Hi, Jen, San Diego. I know it's just sunny and beautiful there. We normally, last month I did all of these on Saturdays because we were, my salon was closed. And so Saturdays were no different from any other day. This time, the reason we decided to do it on Friday evenings is because we have weekends available and it's summer. And so we knew a lot of people would be spending time with their families. And we are actually going to go to the beach tomorrow. And it's the first time I've been at the coast. That's what we call it here, by the way, in the Pacific Northwest, because it's not really like the beach. It's not like Florida. It's not like LA. It's different. You're not going to swim in it or anything. So we're going to go tomorrow. And so we had to move this to a Friday evening. Tucson. Tammy's from Tucson. Monica from Portland, of course. I know Monica. Amy from Illinois. Montreal, Canada. Toronto. Dartmouth. North Carolina. Sydney, Australia. Anything different we need to do as we're coming into winter. That's so crazy that you guys are going into winter. And I hate having wet hair in the cold. Well, typically it's rainy here. And I think it's cold because I'm from SoCal, but it's probably not cold for people that are really cold. So about 9 months out of the year, I do diffuse. But like today, I air dried because I use the summer to air dry because it's the only time I'm not freezing. We're going to Manzanita because we think Cannon Beach will be too crowded. From Florida, how large is this group? There's a few hundred people. I haven't really looked at the number, but it's not like 1,000 or anything. We wanted to keep it. It's big enough that it takes full time to, I mean, sometimes I'll spend 6 to 8 hours just answering emails. That's what I'm doing if I'm not in salon. But it's not so big that that we can't get to everyone. I feel like we try to keep a little bit of control on that. Oh, and Lulu was going to be my guest tonight, you guys. I had this like big surprise, but not her, me, I could not figure out how, without downloading a different app and having one that's paid for and hooking it all up, to get her on here with me. So I'm super bummed about that. Yeah, really sucks. So the lives, Tammy, yes, they will be on Friday evenings. Elise is here. Yep, from Portland and Canada, Ireland, just everywhere. Oh, someone right in Cedar Hills, from Utah, Houston. How do you read all the content we share? That's why I asked. It's got to be a challenge with so many. Well, I treat it like a full-time job. And so for May, that really was my whole thing. I stopped doing virtual consults and I just did that. So I would get up in the morning, have coffee, I'm at the computer and I'm answering. And it sends me an email every time someone posts. So I would try to get to as many of them as I could. If I don't comment back, I've still most likely read it. I just don't always have an answer for that moment, or it's something we're going to dive into later. Since my salon opened on Monday, that's why this group, the emails didn't go out till Monday night for the Summer Waves pages. So I was in the salon all day Monday and Tuesday, and I haven't been open in 2.5 months. So it just so happens we didn't know until 3 days before, oh, you're going to open June 1st. I'm also launching a group June 1st. There's also been some, painful situations going on in the world, and we really wanted to honor that. And so it was a lot. So forgive me, my apologies for not getting you your emails right away. And as far as the content, you guys, with Kajabi, which is the platform that I use right now, as long as you have your email notifications turned on, then when I send out a mass email, when I sent it out, it seems like, most people were there. For some reason, with every platform I've ever tried, MailChimp, it doesn't matter, Vagaro, there are just some people who don't get it because these systems aren't 100 proof. So if that ever happens and everyone's talking about it, if you haven't got it, just send me an email, atoyabass@gmail.com, and know that I will get to it. But like I said, if I'm in salon all day, sometimes I don't get to the emails till 7 at night. That's just when I'm going to do it. So I know we love Lulu. I'm so bummed. We had this whole plan. Work is good. Being back in the salon is very different. I don't like working with a mask because if you're cutting hair and then you look down, it wants to go up here. And I do all dry cuts. So I only cut wavy and curly hair. That's it. That's all I do. And so everything is done dry and I sculpt. And when you dry cut, there's these little hairs that tend to be in your bra and your clothes at the end of the day. Well, now they're all in my mask. And at first I felt like they were getting into my mouth too, but you can't take off your mask and put your hands in your mouth. I was like, do I swallow these? Like, what do I do? So the mask is weird, but I'm taking it very slow and taking a lot of breaks, which I never did before. So, oh, Raina, you noticed I tried to use topics in Kajabi now. If you guys have, so if you go on to Kajabi, when you log into the community, it used to just be a feed. And then I got a feedback that the feed was confusing. So now you can either put feed at the top if you just want to scroll, or you can go to topics and we have some different topics. And Allison and I try to just pick things we've heard people talk about, like, oh, there's the silver wavy hairs, there's this. Of course, I threw the Enneagram up there because I'm obsessed with the Enneagram. So I always want to talk about it. If you guys have a different topic recommendation, like, hey, I think a lot of us would probably benefit from this, just send us that idea. We're learning too. So Lulu was my first and hardest curly hair crush. That's what Jennifer's saying. The first person I started following and learning from my interest in the C2 community. I know. I wanted her maybe later on, not on YouTube, but I was saying to her tonight, maybe later we can do one on IGTV. But yeah, maybe we could do that. Who is Lulu? You know, she's on Instagram. What's her handle? CurlyQ_Lou. Didn't answer a question fully. When are you planning to answer tonight? Oh, so you didn't. I don't know. This was getting. So what I'm gonna do is I started writing down a bunch of your questions, and I'm gonna answer some of them because some people couldn't be here, so I asked that they send it to me, and then you guys can ask questions, and I'm going to answer some of these, and then I'll dive back in over here. Pen that link. Oh, I wish I knew how to pen, Ellen. Okay, so Anna asked about heat styling, if blowouts were okay occasionally or never. I do want to preface this with saying everything, all the advice that I give you, all of the responses that I give you are my experience. It's my personal opinion. It's my personal experience. Yours might be different. And even Allison's might be different. We live in a different climate. So I want to preface saying that. So for me, I don't care if people heat style. I don't care if you blow your hair out. I think that saying you'll never blow your hair out would be like saying you're going to wear peach lip gloss the rest of your life and never wear red. So even my clients who say, oh, day 2, I don't like how this doesn't curl like the rest. If they want to hit it with a wand and a heat protectant, I am not opposed to that at all. However, if you tell me your goal is ultimate hair health, then I'm going to say, obviously, you shouldn't be putting heat on your hair. But then if it's really ultimate hair health, you probably shouldn't have color, and you definitely wouldn't have bleach like I do. So I'm not anti-blowout at all. And especially for wavy, I do not think it's going to ruin your pattern by any means. Marita, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, asked if it was best to leave a small amount of conditioner in or rinse it all out, or use a specific type of leave-in. So for me, all we teach in my salon is the drizzle rinse. I've never used a leave-in. Well, I did when I was 13, Infusion 23 in 1986. I personally don't use leave-ins. I've played around with a leave-in one or two times in the salon, but normally we don't have a leave-in at all. We always do the drizzle rinse. And you can do either. This first week, you're doing a drizzle rinse because there is a method to the way that I'm having you learn very slow and try things, small tweaks at a time. That way you can rule out what doesn't work for you. So you might drizzle rinse this week and be like, this doesn't work. And at the end, you may be the person who rinses it all out and you put a leave-in in and you might rake that through versus coating it. But every little tweak is to get you to learn your hair and not someone else's hair, just because it works for them. So I also, in essence, we have married water and conditioner together so well. I mean, I've been doing this for almost a decade. So that combination is so worked out that I feel like I've already created a leave-in consistency because it's water, conditioner, water, conditioner. I've married them together. And so I've created a leave-in in essence. But if you want to use a leave-in, that's totally up to you. Megan asked, I think I'm expecting too much of my curl clumps. I get big clumps if I don't move around much. But if I flip coat scrunch, they come apart. What should decent clumps look like? So everything in the wavy world and the curly world is about intent. It's about your end goal. It's about the results you want. It's about your why you're even doing this. So if you want bigger clumps, obviously you're going to do a little bit more coating like this and scrunching like this. I would typically suggest you leave a little bit more conditioner in or use more of a leave-in. You're going to really coat things like this together and scrunch and hold to keep them together. So all those little tweaks to make bigger clumps. I want to talk about flip coat scrunch because it was brought up so many times in reading all of your comments. There was a lot of misunderstanding. Flip coat scrunch is not a method. I know everyone thinks that. It was simply, for me, people would ask, what do I do? Or I'm in, the dressing room and the girl out, taking my clothes has curly hair. And I'm like, what can I tell her that's really easy? Hey, just this thing, if you have a gel, flip coat scrunch. It was the fastest, easiest way I knew to teach someone how to trap the maximum amount of water. So you don't actually have to flip over. If you don't get good results when you flip over, you can lean side to side. You could stay standing straight up. Flipping had an intent, and the intention was to get your hair off of the scalp in all directions, because we all know that our hair likes to really sit to the scalp, and we always want some air in there. Your hair should be light and airy, like not greasy and weighted onto the scalp, even if you're not curly at the root, because I'm very straight at my root. So the flip was an intention. It just meant get the hair off your scalp. So if that means leaning, then lean. Even with the coat was because you want to make sure all the surface of your hair is covered. It's like frosting a cake. So it's like glazing, like making sure all of the surfaces are covered very lightly, just like frosting a cake. And when all the surfaces are covered, then you scrunch. So flip coat scrunch doesn't mean you have to do those exact things. It's more like make sure you're getting product all over the surfaces, because if you don't, that's when you'll start noticing a little bit of that frizz. So decent clumps depends on what your end goal is, what you want it to look like. If you want bigger, fatter, more chunky kind of clumps, you're not going to have as much volume. If you're willing to break them up, and it can tend to look a little stringier on a wavier, fine hair type, it's going to make it look bigger. So today I air dried. I haven't really touched it at all. And they're bigger. but my hair is not big. Do you see that? And I purposefully wanted to air dry to show you. I mean, I don't have a lot of volume, but I have way more clumping. If I broke all of this up, I would have more volume but less clumping. So Christine wanted to know, dealing with grays, what recommendations for working with them? We have a joke in my studio where we say, as soon as you think that you've learned your waves or curls, then the grays come. And goodbye. Just kidding. So the thing is, it offers a whole nother level of challenge. I like to deal with gray hair in my studio if you have a lot of it, if it's predominantly there, depending on how coarse the hair is. We treat gray hair a lot more like I would a tight, coily kind of African texture. So we're doing a lot of deep conditioning, way more like a quick drizzle rinse. I mean, we barely rinse that conditioner out because it just eats it like this, just sucks it up, right? So I would start by adding deep conditioning. There's also a lot of self-acceptance that goes to that because I can hydrate someone's hair all day long and they still have some gray poking out that are wiry, and that's just your hair. That's what it's going to be. So someone wanted to know, Amanda wanted to know, if diffusing was okay. Yes, diffusing is okay. And managing her 6-year-old's hair. For little ones, she said that she mostly used a lot of conditioner and did a lot of braids. That's exactly what I'd recommend. A lot of conditioner and a lot of braids. Veronica wanted to know about doing this with vertigo, which I loved that you brought that up because I've had bouts of vertigo. And first, I just want to say it's awful. I am so sorry that this is something you live with. If you guys don't know what vertigo is, it makes you nauseous and dizzy. And it's actually pretty scary if you've never had like a vertigo attack when you go to get up and like the whole room just like gets crazy. So not a lot of head flipping. And when I've had moments, like I'll tell my husband, I feel like I'm kind of dizzy or I feel like vertigo. I don't have the best hair days. I will tell you that. That's my honesty. And I am cautious to lean as much as I can, like a subtle lean. And then I do a whole lot of this, like glazing to get everything covered. And then a whole lot of just scrunching up very gently and delicately, kind of leaning side to side. And even here, I'll take this part right here and kind of coat like this. So obviously you're not going to be flipping. And that's why I don't do my head upside down. I don't do my wash like that a lot either. Is I get my equilibrium gets off. So I try to be upside down the least amount possible. The last one on this page, and I have several of these pages, but then I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to play back and forth. Erin wanted to know, I feel like my waves go floppy and my curls go limp. How can I get my waves to last? So typically, my whole thoughts about getting a wave to last is setting a stronger cast. Like really being that, scrunch and hold, using a harder holding gel, diffusing. So you're really bringing everything up this way. And sometimes waves aren't meant to last. Sometimes no matter what you do, and this is where acceptance comes in. I've been doing this a long time. We can scrunch all day long, hold all day long, use whatever products, diffuse, and it looks, wavy here. And then it kind of softens to where it's just got a soft, subtle bend. And that's what your hair wants to do. That might just be your hair. So I'm going to just kind of peek in here at some of what people are saying. Heat protectant. There's so many heat protectants. Right now I'm loving InnerSense Hair Prep. Can you guys see that? This is a great heat protectant. A lot of your products already have heat protectant built in because it's 2020. A lot of people are doing that. I've noticed they have heat protectant, but I love that one right now. Also has a little bit of texture to it, so it kind of fattens it up. Can you talk about struggling so much with different textures around my head and curls going in different directions? Keep coming out wonky. Great question, Haley. Okay, so everyone has at least 3 different patterns on their head. So when someone sits in my chair, and if I'm teaching a class to other stylists, the very first thing we do is look at the patterns. Where are your patterns at? Where's your straight part at? Where's your wavier parts? And yes, even people you see on Instagram who you think, oh, they just have one thing, they don't. They don't. They have at least 3. I've seen up to 8. I've seen 2 hairs right next to each other, completely different. Almost like completely different texture, completely different pattern, all of that. So first thing is just to know that that's normal and common, that no one has one pattern on their head. That's an illusion. So let's clear truth from myth first. And I'm wondering, I hear this word a lot, that things keep coming out wonky. I'm wondering exactly what that means, if it's kind of going this way at the ends, which could be a lot of things. It could be your cut, like texturizing. A lot of times with wavies, there's not enough length to give you a bend, so it'll tend to get wonky. Or if it's too cut into this way, it can tend to get wonky. And really, to take care of wonky stuff, typically, if anything's kind of sticking out, I'll usually take like a texture paste, like just a little bit, and just smooth that wonkiness down, and it'll pop right back into play. You just kind of smooth it down, and it'll take care of it. Hi from Vermont. I heard that it's not good to leave regular conditioner hair because of the pH. Have you seen any adverse effects? So this is what I'll say, Amy. I do see a lot of, no, I take that back. I haven't seen a lot of that. I've seen people say that before. However, the people that I've seen saying it, there's a couple of hairstylists in particular. I've been doing this. I'm 47 and I went to beauty school when I was 16. I've never seen adverse effects from it. That's what I'm going to say. So my experience is no. They might have more experience for that. I'm all about the drizzle rinse, but maybe conditioner is too heavy, so I've been rinsing most about. And that's totally fine, Mary. Yep. Yeah, you're gonna learn if you can leave any conditioner in or if you can't. Now, if you came to my salon, we always do. The thing is, the whole thing about learning this most basic step, that first week, which I know is painful to have to like do that. If you go to my Instagram and you can go back, I don't even remember when I started it, 5 years, every picture. I don't care what their porosity is. I don't care what their texture's like. I don't care what their wave or curl pattern is. I don't care what their density is like. None of it. 98% of the people on that page, we have exactly what I've taught you here. And we've used one product and that's it. Flip Code Scrunch. I mean, so the thing is, the basics work. And if you get that basic down, that doesn't mean all of them do that in their own life. I have lots of clients who, do a rinse out. They can't get over it. They're like, I don't want to leave it in, or they couldn't find the right balance to leave it in. So it weighed their hair down. They're like, I don't know how you do it, but at home I use the leave in. So I don't really do rules. I do guidelines. So if you've already noticed that about your hair, I would totally say you have to trust your intuition. You already know that about your hair. So go ahead and do that, Mary. I think that's awesome. Will we have time for live Q&A? Or are you going to answer questions that were only submitted ahead of time? No, I actually prefer just doing live stuff, but I also like to make sure people that were gone get their questions answered. Okay. Let's see. There's a lot of questions here. You guys are really good. It won't let us reply anyway directly. Oh, that was for Lulu. Okay. Short hair help, please. Perfect. I know a lot of people are excited for next week with Allison because there's a lot of things you're going to ask on here. And I'm going to say, save that for Allison. And, you know, her hair's to here. So I think she can will really help guys out. Oh, Tammy has to leave. Okay, I got those already. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. You helped me so much with helping me realize I needed more hold. Can I put hairspray over gel once I scrunch out the crunch? Absolutely. What hairspray would you recommend to maintain the moisture? I love Intersense I Create Finish. And Diva Curl has a really good hairspray as well. But honestly, I'm not that picky about it. Should hairspray, Sarah wants to know, should hairspray be done on wet or dry hair? You can do it on both. Mm-hmm. You can do it on wet hair to help it dry faster and it acts as an extra layer for that cast. Or you could do it on dry hair just to help lock things in. So either one. I need advice for refreshing. What products are best for refreshing? So some of my favorites for refreshing, first of all, refreshing could be a whole live in and of its own. You have to assess the situation, look at what your hair is like. You have to know your end goal. What is your goal for that day? You have to know what your lifestyle is and how much time you're willing to invest, because refreshing day 2, day 3, day 4 hair, especially for wavy, can fall into that myth line. Like, what? My hair won't look like day 1 on day 2. I already know that. So I assess the situation. When you go for your refresh, you assess what looks weird, what don't I like, what do I want to change, and then you have to decide from there. So for some people, that might just mean doing a little of this and then going about your day, which is kind of usually what I do. For other people, it might mean like, ooh, there's a lot of frizz, I need to smooth it. So you could do that with a little bit of a cream and water. So products that I love for that, of course, Wavemaker is one of my all-time favorite for refreshes because it's like a paste and it's got a lot of texture, so it won't weigh my hair down. You can also, if you're really into clean, you could use the Intersense. This is their whipped cream texturizer, a tiny bit with some water and smooth over. I love the Intersense Sweet Spirit leave-in conditioner. You spray it directly into your hand and then you smooth over those pieces. So you have to assess smoothing this first, and then you can talk about what's going on up here. And for a lot of us, I know one of the questions on here was, how do we camouflage seeing our scalp, especially those of us that have this crown area problem? So you guys know, maybe you don't know, of my Infinite Love of Dry Lift. It's a paste. I use a small amount. It's got this grittiness to it, almost feels like there's sand granules in it. And you take that right at the top like this, and it'll just really swell the hair. I also love to take sea salt spray on a refresh day, spray it at my roots very generously, and then I'll use my blow dryer and kind of hold like this. So I'll treat my roots differently than I've read the rest. Lately, I've been using this Mizio. It's a little powder that you put in to refresh your roots. So all of those different products work for doing a refresh. I love InnerSense Refresh Foam at the roots. So you need to assess and then figure out what you want to do. There's a refresh on my IGTV that one of my clients did. She is a doctor. She is a self-professed type A who does her hair perfectly all the time. Very different than me. She did a refresh and she said it almost has to be completely wet. She leans over the sink. It's on my IGTV and it literally, I think, is titled Refresh. Watch how she does it. That's when you're like, oh, these little things don't work. I need almost a redo, but not quite a redo. And then I know Megan, who I had her on my show. Her Instagram is Wavy something Chronicles or something. She washes every day. She completely gets it wet and does the whole thing because that's the only way she gets the hair that she likes. That's another option for you. Can I use hairspray at the end? Yes. I have vertigo too, limiting salt intake. Yes, it does. I'm wondering if you had to pick your fave gel besides UDG, what would it be? Ugh. God, you guys know. I've been trying to find another gel to replace my love of that for years. I would go Archangel next, but if you weren't doing a DevaCurl gel and I had to do my favorite, I wouldn't go a gel. I would do Hair Resort, Kevin Murphy. This is, if I don't have UDG, this is what I use. That would be my favorite. I feel like my hair feels sort of dry and the curls fall out pretty soon. Does that mean I need more protein? So definitely want to save that question for Allison because she deep dives into protein and moisture and glycerin or glycerin. I don't even know how to say it, but I would definitely ask her. I've colored my hair for many years and the roots are really great. I just had it colored again. I'm wondering if the color makes the top more straight. No, it doesn't. In fact, color actually makes your hair absorb water easier. Yeah, and it depends, but no, it wouldn't affect it being straight. I'm a physical therapist and we treat vertigo. Get a PT to look at your neck to help lessen the symptoms. Great idea. Thank you, Stacy. Recommendations for light sulfate shampoos for fine hair that gets buildup easily. We're going to do some whole sections on product recommendations because that, I think, above everything, everyone just wants to know, what do I buy? What do I try for? There was some for fine and thin hair, for thin, heavy hair, for gray hair. So we're going to do some whole list of that for you guys. I've been dealing with vertigo lately. It's hard to flip. Yes, it is difficult, Erica. Jennifer, save that protein question for sure for Allison. Ellen, I'm so grateful that we were talking about vertigo and curly hair. I've had horrid attacks. Yeah. It is awful. It is really awful. Ashley says, my hair is super brittle. It's thin and damaged. Doing the Flip Go Scrunch for a month now, my hair looks thinner. Suggestions on products for 3B, 3A. Should I skip this gel and use something else? Brittle and thin and damaged. I would want to know some things about your hair. I would want to know what products you're using. If they are loaded in a bunch of butters would be my first question. I would want you to definitely just don't flip coat scrunch if your hair looks thinner, and use a different technique like fill and seal, rake and shake, side to side. I know there's lots of stuff out there. I would want to know if you have hard water, but mostly a method would not make your hair brittle, thin, and damaged. I would be curious as also stress levels, what you're using. More information on that would be helpful. Stephanie, I can't seem to get a cast even with firm hold gels. What am I doing wrong? Mostly using Innersense and raw corals. So when we talk about casting, that doesn't mean you're going to feel something crunchy. I never feel a cast on my hair, ever. And you guys know, I use tons of gel. In the salon, we put people under the dryer so they can feel what a cast feels like. But again, just like Flip Coast Scrunch, it's more of a, it's like I want you to think of it like almost visually, like a cast means you're healing something that's broken so that when it comes off, you've got that repaired arm. Like if you set it in a cast, right? You healed it. So you're sealing and wrapping around all the water so that it nourishes it from the inside out like a plant, right? You water it and it nourishes it and it feeds off of that from the inside out. But you may not actually ever feel a cast. Most of my clients don't. That depends on your hair. So you're not doing anything wrong. Lulu, at least 3 different patterns. Yes. You have at least 4. Yeah. No one has, I've never seen someone with less than 3. Yes, Rosa, I do the positioning to get rid of vertigo. Rebecca, I have 2 littles, so time to diffuse is rare. Is it okay to diffuse after my hair is air dried? Yep. Or should I just let it all the way? Nope, you can diffuse whenever it fits your life. Hi, Jenny from Australia. I'm trying to really stay with this. Cut advice for barely shoulder length hair. How long should the shortest layer be? That depends. So if you have thick and heavy waves and you go too short, it'll look really shelfy. So I recommend keeping it longer. But if you have finer, thinner hair like mine, and then you cut it to here, I still would recommend longer because otherwise you're going to lose all your density down here. And cutting this shorter won't give you volume. It helps it helps a little, but it's not going to be the change that you're thinking to get that lift up here. So if it was to here, I usually tell people, maybe you could take your shortest one about here, but it depends on the look you're going for. If you're going for a shag, then you can go here because everything's going to come forward. My hair does good everywhere except for around my face. It doesn't curl the right direction. That's the only place that counts. Our hair doesn't, it dictates to us what it does. We don't dictate to it. Christy, can you talk about heads that have multiple textures? For example, I have fine hair on the top layer and at the nape of my neck and really coarse in the middle. Yeah, that's totally normal. Totally common. I've been seeing it for years and years and years. And I'm not really sure what the question around that is, but it is super common. Brand new to wavy hair. When will the stringiness go away? It's driving me crazy. I'd love to see your hair and see what stringy is. I'd like to see your density. Yeah. I'd love to see a picture of your hair. That would be great. I'm new to all products and got the Kevin Murphy Hair Resort. Not sure how to apply it. Okay, so when your hair is sopping wet, like in the shower today, that's all I used today was Hair Resort. I just flipped my head over and I kind of pulsed it in like this. And then I let it air dry. And this is what you guys need to know is hydration has 3 signs that we typically see. And the 3 signs are when your hair is hydrated from the inside out, it's going to be light, airy, springy, like light. There's nothing greasy about it. And if you do this, it kind of bounces back, it boings back at you, right? It doesn't feel coated and weighted. On day one, majority of the time, not all the time, but majority of the time, you're going to see some type of shine reflection coming off of it. Like there's shine even on this bleach. And this is a lot of bleach on my hair. So shine is a sign. You're going to have like kind of that loose kind of bounce. And your curls are going to want to live in families. So you're going to see more clumping. You can take those clumps apart, but even when a big, like this whole pattern they're little, but they want to all clump into a section, that's because it's hydrated. That's a sign of that. So when you're using Kevin Murphy Hair Resort, I don't coat it. I just scrunch it into the ends. I don't coat it because it's heavy. It's thick. And it comes out thick. So I probably use, you guys know how thick this comes out. 1, 2, 3. I probably use 3 or 4 nickel size amounts of this. And I just pulsed it in. And then I scrunched and held. And then just let it dry. That was it. I don't know if you guys know Gina Grant. Do you know her? She's like the famous Zumba dancer. This is one of her favorites too. And she has big, awesome hair. And she will scrunch this in, then just do some diffusing and take a little more and scrunch it into the roots. That's if you want it to be a little bit bigger. But it also, I don't know. I love this product. I've loved it for like 20 years. It's been one of my favorites. So the spray, Lulu, I've used the spray a little bit, but I actually like the thing more. Sorry, everyone's texting me downstairs. I need to tell them. I'm on a live. God. Let's see. It looks like you're using Diva Curl Wave Maker as your texture base. Do you still have again Diva? Absolutely. I don't even have time, Molly, to go into all of that. And I'd like to not with this group, of course. But if you're my friend or my client or anything, or if you want to DM me a private message, that's totally fine. So, but if you don't feel safe with something ever, do not use it. If something breaks you out, do not use it for sure. I have trouble with my curls clumping in the correct groups when they frizz out when they are dry because the hair is curling opposite ways. Can I fix this? Gosh, I think I'm understanding what you're saying. And your curls are just going to go the direction they want unless you do some type of manipulation with finger coiling and then possibly pinning. I've heard that you're not supposed to touch your hair when hair drying until it's dry. Is that true or myth? I don't like to touch my hair much. Once I've set my cast, I leave it alone until it's dry. Mary, also this may sound surprising. I don't own gel. Any recommendations? I have super coarse, very loose waves, 2B. I'm so new to this and feel behind. You could possibly do like Jessie Curl. Spiralicious is really popular. I create Hold by Innersense. There's just so many. Oh my gosh. Kinky Curly Custard. I'm looking around at my stuff. There's so many gels out there. But maybe start with Spiralicious. That might be a good one. Do you use a sulfate to clarify your own hair? I don't really clarify. Clarifying is one of those things, you know, where it's kind of iffy. I will use Malibu Undo Goo if someone comes into the salon and their hair is really, it's got a lot of buildup and it'll ball up on my hands, which is usually from a butter. Then I'll do it. Do you have experience with Bounce Curl products? I've used their gels, but not their shampoo and conditioners, but I know Allison loves them. So definitely save that question for her. Becca, yeah, other gels. Jessie Curl, Bounce Curl gel. Innersense has great gel. I like Max Green Alchemy has a sculpting paste that's good that I like. I know there's BioSilk. Like I said, we're going to do some product recommendations for you guys. Short hair with vertigo, Ellen. Can you talk about protein? Becca, so I don't really talk about protein in the salon. And in fact, I'm going to be super honest because me and Allison, if she's on here, she'll just laugh at me. She is your specialist at that. I've been a stylist for years. I never in my life had heard of the protein moisture thing until YouTube and Instagram, and probably about a year ago. So it's not even something I've ever really looked into. So I definitely want you guys, that's why I brought her on, because a lot of people want to know protein moisture balance or certain product ingredients, and she's really good at that. Shannon, what's up with rice water rinses? I've never done one, but I hear people like them. Katie wants to know gel. Everyone wants to know gels. I'm literally on our product recommendation sheets that I have here. I'm writing like everyone just wants to know about gels. What about sleep routines? Tanya asked. My hairs don't last beyond day 2 and it's all wonky. So if you're doing all of the standard things, sleeping with a silk or satin pillowcase, pineappling up to keep it protected, that would be the best. I personally don't do a sleep routine. I sleep with it down. I feel like it just does better for me. And protein and moisture balance. Totally. Yes, you guys, love this question about protein moisture. And next week, Allison is your girl to really talk about that. Christy, what can we do about the fluffy frizz around the top of the hair, mostly on day 2 and more? So you can actually either coat that out of the way, or you can section off in more of like a mohawk section. So taking your sections there, all the way to there and all the way back, lean over the sink or spray bottle and get that whole part pretty wet to help you, to help bring it back into place, because that's where a lot of people feel like they get so much frizz. So if coating it doesn't help, in like a little bit of water and cream, conditioner water in a spray bottle, then I think I might actually even have a whole top section refresh like that on my IGTV, where it's almost like this whole top part gets dunked into the water. When you travel, what products do you bring with you? I always bring a little container thing. Usually I'll either use, like if I go to a friend's house, I will just use whatever's in their shower. And I always bring a little tube of ultra defining gel, and I take Hair Resort and I drop it into the middle of it. So it's like my own little combo because I love them both so much. Yeah, usually I just use whatever they have there. If I was going to bring something, it would be whatever I was using in the shower in a little tube currently, because this is the thing, you guys also that don't know me. I am always trying something new. I've been running trials on people's hair for years. I find whatever products out there, I run trials on it on my hair. I have girls working at the salon. Once my client comes in and we flip coat scrunch, and we always do the same thing that first time, then that's how I do my research. I'm hands-on playing in their hair. Can we try this different technique? Can we try this cream and this new this? And then that's really where the research happens. That's where I'm learning. Everything that I learn is hands-on in there. What am I seeing? What am I feeling? And that's where I really nerd out, is really getting in there. So the things that I pass on are things that I've seen in there, like whatever's in my shower, and there's always going to be something different. Right now it's Mizio. It's a shampoo and a conditioner, and then of course I just use my gel. So that's what I would bring with me right now. Do you recommend we buy a heat cap to wear when deep conditioning? You can, Audra. They do help. Can you have mixed porosity? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, especially down to your ends. How do you deal with it? I still just use the same thing. If you want to get really detailed with it, maybe on your ends, or it's a little bit more porous, you want to fill a little bit with maybe a cream under your gel. So down here, you're doing a little bit more of a fill and seal, and here, not so much. You could do that. What's your opinion on how often hair should be washed? As much as it's needed. If you work out and it needs to be washed every day, you can do it. Also depends if you're really talking about scalp health. So the more your scalp is washed, the better. But if your lifestyle doesn't fit it, I usually do it a couple times a week. What about steam for refreshing? If I use any water, I get frizz. Yeah, a lot of people get frizz, Lisa, when they refresh. So they don't. They use more of a like texture kind of whip, or a leave-in conditioner like this. My throat's getting dry. Working in a mask this week makes your throat dry. Ellen says, Lulu, your hammock diffuse changed my world, but I used my TL to cut my hair while hovering the dryer over that lifted section. Lulu says, Megan is Wavy Curly Chronicles. Yes. Megan, I have clumps on the back of my head that get stuck in the front sections when styling. Any suggestions on keeping clumps unstuck during the flip process? So, are you flipping down and forward and then coating and scrunching and then flipping up? Because, I mean, we do a lot of this. We're always doing a lot of this. Like I said, unless my vertigo is strong, which even doing that right there, I felt a little bit of a spin. Or you just like this, just loosen it up the scalp. Do you use Hair Resort like you would a gel? I don't coat it. I just scrunch it in. It's too heavy for me to glaze all over. Erica says, sorry, it just jumped and there's like a million questions here. I want to try to find Erica. I can never get good second day hair without tangles at the nape. You're always going to have tangles. If you have wavy or curly hair, you will always have tangles, and especially at the nape. I normally completely silk detangle with conditioner and style as normal. Is that okay? Totally. My hair gets so tangled after shampoo. What can I do? My hair does not want to side part, even with clips. It's very interesting that it gets really tangled after shampoo. I'd be curious to know what kind of shampoo you're using and what your water situation is like. Maria says, Halo, not that I'm an angel, Enneagram 8. That's so funny. Frizz suggestions. Link looks good around the scalp, not so much. Whenever someone comes to me and they tell me their hair is frizzy and dry, first of all, the first time they sit in my chair and they say that, I think in my head, it's really not, you just haven't trapped your water. So, how much marriage of water and conditioner are you doing? What does that feel like? What does that look like? What does that sound like? If you didn't get a chance to watch the video that I did showing what that looks and sounds like, there are lots on YouTube where they show you. So you want to make sure you have that. And then you want to make sure you trap it, meaning it's got to be glazed. It's got to be covered with something. You have to build a shield around the water to make it work. That's to me. Now, can you still have Frisbee on that? Yeah. You can have heavily textured hair, which is a little bit harder. You could have a lot of gray. You could have a lot of bleached out. And then you typically, to get that shine, you have to leave a little bit more conditioner in. Tammy says, how to eliminate the part in the back of my head. Girl, you guys know, maybe you knew, people don't know, I have a major calic right here, and I'll separate it so you can see right here. I mean, I call this my comb over, and this goes right on back of it. It's not going to be as bad today because I washed my hair today, but you really can't do anything about that. I mean, everything's going to be about messing it up there. So yes, you could do pens. You could take a butterfly clip while it's drying and do this, and then put it in right there like that. That's going to be a lot of AG dry lift, sea salt spray to kind of break it up. But I'll tell you this, when you have that part that goes all the way down, it's going to want to just separate. I would work with it instead of against it. That's what I would do, work with it. My problem is around the face, my curl does not curl in the right direction. You could finger coil it, but it'll probably want to go back. That's another one of those things where you just let it do its thing. I mean, you don't really try to control it. That's a big thing with wavy hair. Don't try to make it do what you think it should do. Just decided this week to embrace my gray and no longer color. My question is, can I use the same sulfate-free shampoo and conditioner, or do I need to use a specific for gray? Nope, you don't. However, as you go more gray, you might be able to switch to more of like a more gentle shampoo if you're using one that is a little bit more clarifying type, because your hair might start being a little bit drier. How do you color blonde hair without ruining the health of your hair? Well, anytime you color your hair, you are damaging it. So hopefully your stylist uses Olaplex, and you can do Olaplex treatments after that. So there is no way to color hair without damaging it. There's ways to do it better, but you are always, if you're lightening, you are opening the cuticle. And so you're always letting in some damage. If you're darkening, you're actually not, you're just depositing. So it's fine. Which a lot of people asked on here what I thought about Pintura and balayage and how to color wavy and curly hair. So I don't color hair anymore because I don't really have the time, but I still teach it, and I did it for years, and I color my own hair when the girls don't have time. So I've been teaching it for years. I like to paint it on. So Pintura means to paint. Balayage means to sweep. It's all the same thing. It's just a cool name. So let's say, for example, this was your wave and you came to see me. So I would take the color and literally right on top, paint that on top, and I might pull a little on the end so it'd be really blonde there. Sometimes it's done outside of foils, depending on how light you want to go and what your goal is. That's like the healthiest way. If you have really dark base like I do, we might paint some and put some of it in foils. Again, it depends on what your end goal is. What I don't ever like is if your stylist puts a bunch of foils all over your head, puts you under a dryer, and then leaves you for 45 minutes. That's not going to work for your waves, because you got to make sure, at least if you go to someone who specializes and only does wavy and curly hair, Like I know if I color, which is why I can't, because I can't focus all my time on that. Every 10 minutes, I'm like checking that porosity. Like, what's the stretch like? Are we gonna break? Do I need to lift it off? Like, it's very tedious. Now, if you paint it open air, that's totally different. I could paint it and leave it on with the least amount of damage to your hair. So my hair gets very tangly generally. To get the best hydration, should I brush my hair before I shower? You could. A lot of people do that. Or you could wet brush after you put it in. Do you ever root clip on your clients? Yes. All of our clients, Mary, get root clipped. So in the salon, like I said, it's almost been a decade where this is all I do. And everyone that comes in, it's flip, coat, scrunch. For the most part, we go back to the chair. We take these clips. Everyone gets clipped. We pin all at the root, depending on how much volume they want. They go under a dryer. We let it start getting hard and crunchy. They come back over. We finish with a diffuse, because curl retention first, then volume. That's how you always want to do it. See how much curl you can get first, and then blast your volume in. So always in the salon we do it. Do you think of oil as a pre-poo to protect the cuticle from being damaged by water and prevent hygo fatigue? We have hard water, and I feel like it helps. Can trapping water with gel cause it? So hygo fatigue, another word I had never in my life, 30-something years of being a stylist, heard of until the internet. So I would definitely talk about hygo fatigue in general with Allison. However, even with the pre-poo and with oil, Kelly, it's so controversial because there is some science saying that works. And I know there's a lot of people that say that works. My personal experience with a lot of oils is when people start messing around with oils, their hair gets dry and they come to see me and they sit in my chair and I notice their hair is dry. And I'm like, this is the number one question I ask every time someone sits in my chair. I assess the hair, I feel it. I say, oh, what have you been doing lately? What have you been using? And I already know if they've been using something with oil or butter or certain silicones because I've just seen it my whole life. So for me, I personally haven't seen it be that protective, but I know that there is some research speaking into that and saying it is good. So I say that because if you feel like it has helped you and you have hard water, then I want you to trust your instinct. If you see that it's helping you, then I want you to trust that and keep doing that. Can trapping water with gel cause that? I've never heard of that. But again, I've never heard of hygo fatigue until maybe it was in my beauty school book when I was 16, but I don't really remember ever hearing about it. So that is a great question for Allison. Best way to handle humidity's interaction with curls. We're going to talk about humidity in week 3. So be watching for that. I let my gray grow out over a year ago and I use all the same products I've used before. I let it grow out. Perfect. I've spent over a year during the CGM with high quality products and do feel such a difference in how my hair feels, even without products. It does really feel light and bouncy like you described. Yes, it works. Yeah. I'm always surprised when people say, oh, I'm surprised this works. And I love that like light bulb moment because like, yeah, I mean, I've tried every routine, product, brand, technique. I still will. I'll never stop. And until I find what works better overall as a whole, then I stick with where I see consistent results. That is just, and I encourage everyone at my salon, like they know, like, no, try it all. Let's see what works. crown is wonderful 3A, all else is 2B or 2C. The crown shrinks. How do I get the stylist to cut it so the top doesn't look like a curly cat? You tell your stylist not to cut that part short because it shrinks so much. Mary, also, any advice on hair ties for wavy hair that don't alter the pattern? Don't make the scalp hurt. I have a lot of heavy hair, but some of the hair ties for coilier hair fall out of mine. Have you tried the buff cuff? I know a lot of people love that. Haley says, can you speak more to the idea of scrunching for 5 to 10 seconds? I can't understand the benefit. So scrunch and hold is because if you scrunch and pulse, which is what I did today because of the product I was using, and then you let it down, your hair hasn't had as much time in the scrunch and hold. So if you go here and hold, and then let it down, all of that gel on your hand has locked this up into position. So it's just very reminiscent of finger waves and pen curls. It's like how you're setting the hair and how you're moving it in that direction, all with intent to get it to hold there longer. So true story, we had a newscaster come in. They were doing this thing at the salon and interviewing me, and she wanted to do her hair wavy, and her hair's flat ironed every day for TV, bleach blonde. And when she came in, I knew just by looking at her, oh, if we don't scrunch and hold, if we just went like this with some products, her hair would just go up and then right back down. But because we held, and then we did that with the gel to hold it up there, and then we did that with the t-shirt to hold it up there, and then we did it with the diffuser, that 3 different things, all with intent to push the hair up, she got more hold. If we wouldn't have done all those things intentionally, it wouldn't have held as well. I favor mini jaw clips, no disruption to curl pattern, and okay for my thin hair. Perfect. How would you recommend cutting straighter pieces? They're my underlayer. So Jen, that's a great question. Typically, if they're straighter underneath, we'll do an undercut. And I do it before I cut, and then after we do a wash set, because things will start to move and things get hidden, I'll look again, and sometimes I'll just cut under so that those straight pieces don't hang out. And I'll even treat them like a bang trim, which are always free. So like if they're like, oh, my straight hair is poking out of the bottom again, they come in and we'll just take it off because it's going to grow at the same rate. Straight hair, wavy hair. Only this one's growing like this and this one's growing like this. So this one's always going to look longer. So we have to take it back up. Sometimes it feels like my hair changes direction of curls. What is the deal around my face? Yeah, sometimes they'll curl in and curl out. It's just the way it works. Have you tried Evolve H? It's a clean product. I have not. Ashley D, low density. Want to prevent seeing my scalp. Thoughts on products to increase growth. There is no product that will increase growth unless it's like a Rogaine type product. I have on my YouTube an interview with Annabelle Kingsley. She is a trichologist and a scalp specialist. She talks a lot about that. For seeing your scalp, there is a product that I've used many times called Toppix, Toppix, I think, and they're little hair fibers, and you literally can sprinkle them in so it'll fatten it up, plus you won't be able to see it. Also know that that is so normal and common. 40% of the population has hair loss, starting even as young as 16 years old. It is very common for women. And a lot of times, I used to work on movie sets and for Young and the Restless, and we would do makeup on the head to help camouflage that. So you are not alone in that. And those are some things to cover. And don't try to keep your clumps at the top. If you get a nice clumps at the top and you think it will be shiny and smooth, no, that's going to expose your scalp. You're going to have to grit it up like this. And you see how that creates like frizz? But I have to. Otherwise, you will see my scalp. For those not liking AG Recoil, liking gel, AG Recoil is amazing, says Jen. Yes, AG Recoil, gosh, I used to work with AG like 20 years ago, and that is a great product. Be really careful if you like volume. Like for me, because I like my hair bigger, it's too much for my hair. But if you want to if you really like that curl retention, it's a great product. Okay. You've said to try shampoo and conditioner without shea butter or coconut oil on the top 5 ingredients that include castor oil. And how imperative is it? Tammy wants to know. Gosh, that's such a deep dive of a topic too. It's so controversial. Because InnerSense has shea butter in so many things. I'll put it this way. If you come to me and tell me your hair is dry, I'm going to say, are those ingredients in your top 5? And then I'm going to say, give those up for a while and see what happens. And only, again, because I've been doing this so many years, I mean, that is usually the problem because it keeps out the water. However, there are new products, there are new ways of processing these ingredients that can make it different. So I would say it's imperative, do you want volume or curl retention? Are you thinking your hair is dry? So it would really be depending on your outcome. When people come to my studio, the first 30 days, and I've definitely lightened up on this, like I said, the last few years, because I know it's being processed differently. But it used to be 30-day challenge, no oils, no butters, no silicones. That was kind of like the standard. Now with newer products, newer ways of processing, I don't really put that on my printouts, but I am watching for it. I am watching for that dryness. Do you think there is value in using Olaplex 3 if you don't color your hair to strengthen the bonds? Kelly, that's a great question. I personally haven't seen results with it, but I know a lot of curl specialists who live and die by it. That they really, really, I was just reading an article the other day by one, and she was especially into it for wavies. But I actually didn't see enough benefit that I took that treatment out of my salon because I didn't want to charge people for the treatment, send them home with Olaplex 3 and not really see results because I'm very research. Like if it doesn't work, I'm not doing it. And I didn't see it. But a lot of people really, really love it. A lot of amazing stylists that are my friends. In the book, you mentioned high heat is fine when diffusing. I'm an Enneagram 1. Can you explain to me why it's okay to do that? Oh, man. Kayla, I feel you. So all I ever read on the internet, you guys got to understand, when I first started doing this, people weren't talking a lot about this. So people would come to me and they knew nothing about curls, and we would dive in and life would be changed, and then they would go about their way. Now when people come in, they have all these things. There's all these terminologies and these, like I said, all these words that I've never heard of. And one of the things that kept being said to me is people would say, oh, you're turning your diffuser on high? And I thought, oh, I've never heard of not diffusing on high. So I started hearing the recommendation is you do it on a low setting with a cooler heat. 100%. If that works for you, especially as an Enneagram 1, absolutely do it. For me, it's not that one has a benefit over the other. It's just, I would never take the time to do it. And especially in the salon, because then my clients would never leave. we would have to be to the next. And I've never seen it make a difference that much. So you guys will notice if you ask me questions all throughout this month, I'm always brutally honest, even if it's what you don't want to hear. I make this commitment to my clients too. And I will always say, if I haven't seen it make a big change, I'm not going to use it. So I personally haven't seen a huge difference in diffusing. But if you notice, well, I've diffused my hair all week on high and it was way frizzier, then definitely go back to what feels comfortable for you, because I also don't have rules. I only have guidelines. I can only share from my experience. So be free in all your oneness. And Allison is one too. And I bet she blow dries on a low heat. You guys are so funny and cute. Let's see. Several times you've mentioned a method, but I'm not sure I'm hearing you correctly. Are you saying fill and seal? Oh yeah, the fill and seal. So the fill and seal is what I would say the majority of curl specialists teach at their salons. I know this because, we're friends. If you guys aren't familiar with it, we'll discuss it in another video. I had to show everyone last time too, the fill and seal. My computer just did a low battery, so I'm going to charge it really quick, you guys. So yes, I will show you. So do you guys know Lonnie? She's my friend. What is her name on there? Desert Curls. She does a fill and seal. So I will definitely do that. My hair gets greasy after day 2 or 3, but if I use shampoo that's too cleansing, my scalp gets itchy. Mine gets really greasy too. I think that's pretty normal. I'd rather have it be greasy and have to wash it than be itchy. How do you suggest to cut below shoulder length thin wavy hair that is tighter curls underneath? So if there's tighter curls underneath, you want to expose more of your curl. So that's when I would take this top part and cut more into the interior so that you could expose more of that. But if it's really thin, your stylist has to be very delicate with where the pieces sit so that you don't lose density down here. So when you diffuse at home without a dryer to send under it, do you hover diffuse? Never. That's another word I never heard of till Instagram. But I've used that technique. I just didn't know that was a word. But typically a hover diffuse for me is someone who doesn't like frizz. I typically use it more on my African-American clientele with big curly hair. But if someone doesn't like frizz at all, then I'll tell them to just kind of, be here and let it kind of sit on it. But for wavies, the reason that doesn't work for me is if I don't use this bowl to make this happen, then my hair's it's not going to last longer. It doesn't look as curly. If it looks curlier day 1, then I'm going to get longer days. So I don't hover for myself. And the only time I'll hover for a client is maybe if you have super thick, heavy hair and you don't like it to swell, then I might do some hovering. Do you like the AG Mousse Gel? I do, Nicole. I love the AG Mousse Gel. It gives a really soft appearance, so it doesn't have a lot of hold, but I do love that product. It's really fun. The smallest they currently sell. Oh, Lulu says a smaller one. I don't know what that conversation is, but I'm glad you guys are getting it. I have crazy dandruff. My curl is so good. Do you have any specific tips? No, I think you keep using what works for your dandruff because scalp health is so important. It's something that got really neglected when this whole curly thing happened. It was like people's scalps were looking good, which isn't good for the hair. Erica said she used Olaplex #3 and didn't really see any results. I didn't either. I diffuse on high, hair takes too long to dry, same. When you are conditioning your hair, how do you know when to add more water or conditioner? That's a great question. So my hair is very fine, you guys, but I have a lot of it. Okay. I always do a little conditioner, then water, a little conditioner, then water. And today I was purposefully thinking how much conditioner so I can show people. I probably use that much first, coated, married, squished. And then it felt like it was still kind of dry. Like it didn't feel watery enough. So I stuck my head back under the water. I took a little amount again. I kind of see ooh, is it noodly? Is it ribbony? Does it feel really squishy? And that's when I know to stop. And again, I do this for a living. So I do it all day long, every day, and have for years. So I have that mix, right? It is a feel. When I'm training people in the salon, once they've been shown how to do it, they always laugh at me because I'm very big on feeling the hair. And so I'll have them look up while they're doing this and they're squishing because you get a feel for what that feels like. And people have said seaweed before, but it's really wet, soggy spaghetti noodle. It's like squishy. And I keep rotating until I get that. Some things that people are always surprised by when they come into my salon. One, they're stunned at how little conditioner we actually use. They're usually like, oh my God, I use 10 times more than that. And they're stunned by how much we leave in. Like, that's it. That's all you're going to rinse. But remember, we didn't use a lot. And we didn't use anything heavy. And we married it with water the entire time. So we're okay with that. We didn't put it on the scalp. And then the other would be they can't believe how much gel we use. Those will be the main things. So let's see here. What's the difference between clarifying and cleansing? Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask a trichologist, a hairstylist, maybe a YouTuber. But typically in the hairstyling world, clarifying is kind of like your oil change. You're just like cleaning it out. Cleansing is kind of more gentle way of saying washing. So years ago, I used to be CG. I am not curly girl method these days. I haven't been in a lot of years, but I was in the very beginning of my journey, die hard. And so we just eliminated washing from our vocabulary. We never said wash. It was always cleanse. It was more gentle and it wasn't as harsh. So if you hear me say cleanse, it really just means washing it. But my verbiage changed because that's how much I was really into it. What's the difference between clarifying and cleansing? Oh, I just read that one. Natasha. Hi, Toya. I have cervical spondylosis, and it's possible for me to diffuse my hair upside down and side to side without getting severe pain. Any suggestions? Stand it up, put it into the bowl like this, and then all the way up like an accordion. And you can stand straight and do that. Or actually, I would probably say it'd be best for you to really learn how to pen and then get one of the hooded rollabout dryers. You guys, these hooded rollabout dryers, they aren't as expensive as you think. The ones we have at my salon are like $160, but I have clients who have gotten them on clearance at Sally's for like $60. You can sit under there, have morning coffee, do your emails. That might really be the way for you to go. Karina says, my stylist cut curl by curl, but but cut the curl on the diagonal. Thoughts? I don't know what your hair is like or what the reasoning would have been for that. There could have been a reasoning to cut it like that. I never talk about another artist's work because I don't know what the intention was without seeing your hair. And I missed the name of the product you used to give lift on day 2. There's so many. I love Dry Lift by AG. But I love sea salt spray. And I'm into this Mizio thing. I get really into brands though that have a cause, and this one, Stop Sex Trafficking, like 30% of their proceeds go back to it. So take my money. I love brands like that. Your advice to not hover was an absolute game changer for me. Well, the thing is, it's not going to go up if you don't make it go up. And for those of us that are wavy, most of the time we need it to go up. For your personal hair, what is your favorite gel? I almost 90% of the time use Ultra Defining Gel and have for 10 years. I still can't figure out my hair type. Is it necessary? Okay, this is going to be controversial. Lots of things I say are. Those of you that don't know me yet, you'll get to know my personality. I think most people would say yes. I know people's porosity. I know their density. I know all that because I'm a stylist. But when someone comes into my salon, I'm still going to flip coat scrunch, and I'm still going to use most likely the same exact gel on everyone because I'm so much more concerned with the water. I don't like to manipulate it. I want to see how it performs, and then I can tweak accordingly. But I never do 2A, 3B, 4C. I never curl type because people have so many. Do I think in my head if they're sitting there, if they have low or high porosity? Not really. I might just be like, oh, you have a lot of hair, and notice that it's dense. I'm more studying the patterns and how I'm going to shift everything and thinking, how am I going to get this water trapped? That's really all I'm thinking. So it would depend on who you asked. I use Innersense Pure, and it lathers right away, but then my hair feels so tangled. That's interesting. Gosh, I don't know why that would do that because, I'll have to look at the ingredients and check that out. Erica says, do you like do-it-yourself flaxseed gel? Yeah, it's great. One of the girls at my work, she makes it and loves it on her hair. Is it okay if we use dry shampoo or dry texture rising spray if it has alcohol? Audra, I love Oribe. Don't you love Oribe? Best smell ever. And that dry texturizing beach spray is my jam. That is going to depend on you if you are curly girl method. If you're curly girl method and you're sticking by curly girl method, then you will use those products that stay in that range. If you're kind of curly girl method, then you can dip out and see what happens. Or maybe like me, you're not at all, and then I wouldn't be concerned about it. Amy, I like my flaxseed gel, but I tend to forget to put it back in the fridge. I hear that a lot. Allison says, I am struggling to find the balance between adding water and diluting the product too much. Are the things to look for to know that you have enough gel and that your strands are hydrated enough? That's a great question, and lots of people ask that about, are you wasting product? I have a lot of clients who feel like that. And in all transparency and honesty, because I don't know any other way to be, yeah, it makes sense if you're scrunching, like you're probably losing some of that product. But diluting it, I did, gosh, I'll have to post the picture in here. I was right before Corona. I went to the local station here and did a TV thing, and I had to have my hair look good, of course. And I even wanted it to look so good that I am not afraid. Anytime I've done something like that, I'll do a wand on top of it to make it look extra good. So I thought I was going to have to do that, but I didn't end up having to do it. And my hair was so clumped and so shiny. And what I did is when I flipped over, I coated and scrunched my UDG on. I took my overhead shower thing, hit it with the water, set that down, scrunched in more gel, hit it again with the water, scrunched in more gel. And I did a rotation of that like 3 or 4 times. And I will post the picture in here tonight so you guys can see how clumped and everything it was. So was it diluting it? It definitely was, but that's how vital, man. That water makes such a huge difference. Lulu says, thanks for describing that feeling of proper hydration. Yes. It's a feeling, and you will definitely get that down. Do you turn the dryer off and on? No. I've never done that, and I had never heard of that, Kelly, until someone said pixie diffusing, and I was like, what? I think Lulu might have told me what it was, that you put the dryer on, and then you turn it off, then you put it back, something. I've never done that. Yeah, I just use high speed and medium heat on all my clients, on myself. I've never done anything different. I love the Oribe Dry Texturizer. Oh, me too. So when you would use it on curly hair is like, let's say right now my hair's dried, but I want it to be bigger. I would literally just spray that in everywhere. So dry hair. What is Enneagram 1? Been meaning to ask. Oh, Veggie, you've got to get into this. So the Enneagram, you guys will notice, I'm super obsessed. It's a personality. It's an assessment, but it helps you learn other people and relationships. And I love people and getting to know them. And I've also noticed when someone comes into my chair and they're talking to me, and I love to listen to their story and like their routine, I can almost tell what they are. It's like, especially Enneagram 1s, because they're very detail oriented. So it's super fun. Love your realness and honesty. Oh, Kim, thank you, because I always will be super real, always. And I know people don't always want to hear these things, but this is just the truth of literally doing thousands of people's hair all the time and hands in, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And my clients, without a doubt, I just had an email the other day because we reopened. I have somewhere, it was between like 6,000 and 8,000 clients. And 9 out of 10 times when they sit in my chair and I'm like, man, your hair looks so good. Like, I don't even know why you're here. And we just laugh. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they'll say, just that first thing you ever taught me. I just, basic shampoo, conditioner, and some gel. And their hair's clumped, and their hair's shiny, and their hair's living in its families. And that's 9 out of 10 times. There are always exceptions. There's always the person who's like, my hair does better when I don't do it sopping wet. My hair does better when I fill and seal. My hair does better when I use a cream and not a gel. That is always out there. And I can think of the clients in my head where it's like, I even tell them, gosh, the way you do your hair, the way you style it, I'm not going to get it that good. And I make an effort to make my sets really good. Like I love styling hair. So there's always the exceptions, but 9 out of 10 out of that many clients, it's just very basic. Shayla says, I have fine wavy hair and I live in Wyoming. I lived in Wyoming, in Gillette and Casper. It's very windy, very dry. My hair gets very, very dry quickly. So, not next week. Next week's Allison's going to do some talking. The third week, we're going to do humidity and talk about dry weather as well and products for all of that. So, you are going to layer up for that. Karina, I've been flip coat, scrunch, and shower all week and my hair loves it. Oh, yay. I feel like I'm losing gel when I'm scrunching and holding with a t-shirt to get water out before diffusing. You know, I feel like you're right. Like what I just said, I think, yeah, if you're holding the t-shirt, you're probably losing some gel. That's probably accurate. Thanks so much for answering question regarding figure out hair type. I feel like a huge weight's been lifted. Yeah, I mean, you guys, I teach this stuff and I don't even know. I don't pay attention to that. What are your application recommendations for Innocence Eye Create Hold? I hear it needs emulsified, but you need to use less than a regular gel. Is this true? So my experience with Innocence is, no, I use a lot of the stylers. I used their mousse the other day and I don't even know how many pumps of it I used. It looked great, but I used a ton. When I use their Eye Create Hold gel, I use a ton of it to get the hold that I need. So the Eye Create Hold, is that the gel? Yeah, I use a lot of it. How do you use the Innocence Texturizer for refresh? So it's pretty sticky, so I'll get my hands wet first and take a little bit of it. I always smooth and then one or two things. So I'll smooth any frizz down first so that it's smooth like that. Sometimes I'll scrunch up like this because it's got some texture to it and I like grit in my hair. But if I didn't, I would scrunch down like this. And someone asked what, I think I called it scrunch roping or something, like down like this. I didn't make up that term. Again, I've been doing this for years. And then I heard someone say it's called roping. So scrunch roping, that's what it would be. When I diffuse, my waves look like a broken slinky, but not so with air drying. Any thoughts? Yeah, so that's why I like people to try air dry too, because I want you to see the difference and know the difference of how your hair responds with the least amount of manipulation. Because when you learn what your hair does on its own, then you can tweak it accordingly. How much am I going to have to manipulate this? How much am I going to have to add for my refresh day? So to keep it together, it is like, and I have a whole video on diffusing that I'll post in here for you guys. Maybe not this week, maybe next week. But I'll hold it, place it in, and then see how I'm holding it? Almost like an accordion. And then up like that. Trying to get it to hold together. And then same, even when I'm breaking up that cast, here's important. If you want your clumps to all stay together and not break out and not get stringy, you're going to be doing more breaking up like this. You're not going to get as much volume because if you do this, then it goes open. So you're not going to get as much volume. What is a conditioner that you would recommend that doesn't have oils and butters in the first 5 ingredients? Of course I love One Condition by DevaCurl. It's probably, I've been using it for years. But outside of that, I don't think that the Jessie Curl Daily has it. I love Gazoo. They're a great brand. What other ones don't? I don't believe that the AG Naturals has it in there. Like I said, we'll be doing some product recommendations because I realize that's a lot of the questions in here. But I feel like I know so many that don't have it that I've used over the years. But off the top of my head, I can't think of which ones. But there's a ton. There are a ton. Can you speak to the course, what you want us to do this weekend, week by week? There's some confusion between the guidance and the 2 documents sent out this week. Yes, so for this course, the first thing you were sent was the Simply Waves workbook. That's what everyone went through in May. That is, go back to it when you need to reference and kind of start from scratch. Think of that like going to your naturopath and being put on a cleanse. We're taking everything out, we're taking everything away, and you basically get water and no food, no dairy, no gluten, no sugar, nothing. All with intent. Now, you could do that phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 during the weeks and add this content on top of it. You can go through and digest the whole thing at once and then add this on top of it. You can go at it at your own pace. What I really want you to do for me and from my end is you're going to find this out. I like to do a lot of dealing with your mind shift. I think it's very important to know your why, because all the years of doing this and people sit in my chair and there's a lot of misconceptions out there, right? And so if you don't have a strong why of why you got into this, when you're frustrated and overwhelmed, then you're going right back to the flat iron. So I love that that's in there. I think that's really important. We go over myths and truths because truth telling is really important. And that might save you a lot of hassle in thinking, which is what happens. It's in the next product, it's in the next routine that this is going to happen, when after doing this for so many years, that's not going to happen. So I like to deal with those kinds of things, and that has it in there. We'll always have some component of that. That's why you'll see a lot of feeling stuff. And granted, I know this, which is why we married me and Allison together, besides the fact that I love her, but there's always going to be half of the people that are like, lady, I don't give a crap about the mental component of it. Just tell me what products to buy, and we are going to have those product suggestions for you. And then there are going to be the people who say, wow, diving in deep, I never realized it set me free to know that my hair is not going to do what I thought it would do on day 2, right? So that can be a very liberating thing, which can be very empowering. So there's going to be both. So dive into that as much as you want. Each week, what the new add-in is to try something different, because all of this is guiding you to really be intuitive about your hair. So when I say the summer tweak, try going conditioner only. See what happens with hair. Do it on a weekend when no one's around, because you need to get to know, what does your hair do on its own? Does it almost go completely straight if you just scrunch in a little bit of conditioner? That means you're going to need harder holding products in the future. That means you're going to need to probably diffuse and do a little bit more work. What does your hair look like air dried versus? Also, in my last group, people posted their answers. I love reading answers because I love people. People's my thing. I like reading what you write, and it helps me get to know you. So when you ask questions, I know your backstory, where you're coming from, what kind of process have you gone through with your hair, how many techniques have you tried, and what are you trying? What is your end result that you're going for with that? So if you post them, great. If you're more private and that feels like very vulnerable, you can always email me or Allison with your results of, you fill out your worksheet and think of what your why is, some of the curl envy stuff, some of the myths. So we'll always have recommendations, some type of content for you to add to those basics, and then some type of inner work, because if you don't come into that kind of self-acceptance thing, being a wavy, you could be frustrated and overwhelmed forever because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I see it every single day in my chair where people come in and say, I've been doing this and following this, and I've tried this, and here's this method, and here's this technique, and these are all the people I follow, and my hair's still wavy. And so, yep, and that's all it's going to be. That's great. That's what we're here for. So I hope that answers your questions. On Friday evenings is when we're going to have the lives. There will always be links sent out to you. And again, with any platform, there's just people that end up not getting the email or the worksheet, so you can, email us with that. I reopened my salon this week, so I was caught up in that and slow to get back to the emails. But I hope that answers your question, Mary, or if you have more, you can always email me. When you drizzle rinse, should you use cold or cool water? You do not have to. I've tested that many times, although cool water is good for your lymphatic system. So, and there's that one guy, what's his name? Do you guys know him? He does like the plunges and he's Iceman or something. He says it's good for you. Erica, can you be a mix of two different leanings? Not really. You have a wing. And there's some that you could lean towards. We kind of have all of them in us. But there will be a really strong one. Brendan wants to know, when you coat your hair with gel and then scrunch, isn't product going down the drain? I think there probably is some that is happening with. I like to, it's more in my hand. And with that scrunch and hold, I'm trying to get as much of it around there to build a strong shield and cast that I'm not losing that much. I'm losing a little bit more of a water gel kind of mix. Love your naturopath analogy. It really is like that. It's another reason I don't do a lot in the studio, especially on the first time, because I want people to see that, nope, your hair can look juicy and hydrated just with water. And I don't want to manipulate the hair because I need to see what it looks like when I cut it. So if this curl wants to live this way, I don't want it to live that way because I made it live that way, because then I'm not cutting it where it lives, so it feels contrived. Are drugstore products good enough? Which higher end products are worth the investment? It's a great question, Sarah. I think someone here asked it as well. It's a very controversial one. Probably depends on who you ask. I never care if my clients use drugstore. You are paying for ingredient quality. That's just the way it is. The higher the ingredient quality, the more expensive the product is. Also, if you want to play for clean, if you want to pay for a brand that is a smaller company, that kind of lies within your own value system. Can you get good results using drugstore products? Yes. I have a lot of clients who do, and I never, wherever your financial situation is, that's your personal thing. You're a genius. My hair's turned out bomb since this simple routine. Hubby says best $40 ever spent. Love your realness. Oh, thank you. Well, I don't feel like I'm a genius. You know what happened? I was already doing curls, and I read A Real Genius, Darren O'Lean, Superfoods Hunter, brilliant mind. And he talks about body health, and there's a whole chapter dedicated to hydration and how our bodies are made up of water. And it was just like, oh my God, I had all these, water is everything. It is why I don't lean into a lot of the other things out there, because I believe if you can just get your hair filled with water, it's the key. Will you be saving this live? Totally. Yeah. I've been doing the drizzle rinse, but how do I know whether I should add more conditioner versus water? I can run my fingers through. Does it mean I don't need any more conditioner? If it feels really seaweedy, then you probably don't. There are clients with very, very fine hair that come into my salon, and I'll run through it. I'm like, oh, it's like noodles. And I'll think, oh, I'm not going to use conditioner on her today. And I don't tell them till after. Although my clients that know me, they know me now. I'll say, oh, I didn't use conditioner on your hair. Do you know Lorraine Massey, who started the Curly Girl, wrote the Curly Girl Handbook? Do you know she used to wash hair? And I only know this because I did events with her. With if it was really fine, she would wash the hair with gel. They didn't know it because they couldn't see. Because, you know, her theory is what cleanses the scalp is friction and water, which is true. 80% of that is what cleanses it off. But she also wanted to expand the hair, and she felt like everyone was over conditioned, so she would do that. And no one knew that she was doing it. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Marina. Love the message. We're lucky to be a wavy curly. Yes. So lucky. Like, you can't control it. Work with what you got. Acceptance is the way. I mean, Mary, you just summed up my entire brand. You should be my brand writer. Wim Hof. Yes, that is the guy. Thank you, Christy. You are an inspiration. Thank you for all your experience. It's very helpful. Thank you, Tanya. Yeah, I just am sharing what I've learned, you know. Allison had asked me, how long do you stay on these lives? I was like, oh, I try to go until there's like no more questions. I didn't get to all of these, but I try to answer as much as possible. And definitely next week, for everyone who wants to know about protein moisture, wants to know, Allison is really great at looking at ingredients. And I always tell her that she has a way of explaining it so it's not over your head and complicated. So obviously I'm a researcher and I nerd out, more hands-on, but we read the same blogs. I've read, you know, The Science of Hair a million times. And you know when you understand a concept really well, but I don't have the verbiage to explain it to you. It's like in my head I know, but it's like that part of it I can't relate without it being way here and feeling that kind of overwhelm, where Allison knows how to articulate things, even to me, and I've been a stylist for years, where it's like, oh, imagine this is a salad and then da-da-da, or imagine this is your winter coat. She has all these analogies that really just break it up. So that's why I wanted to have her here with us. Have you ever had a client that wanted to be curly that couldn't? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We've joked around in there. When a client sits down, the first time they sit down, I say, I want to hear your story. I'm listening to everything they're saying. And a lot of times they're saying key things that I know that's not going to happen. Your hair pattern's not going to change. And sometimes they're saying people want to be wavy that are actually curly. And I know, oh, as soon as I do this wash set on this person, their hair is going to be so curly, it's going to freak them out. So I will say, I don't want to be the dream killer. That's kind of the name I've given myself, but I will always say the truth. So if you write me and say, I feel like my hair never gets volume, I'm just going to say, yeah, you're probably not going to. Not with a cut, not with a product. It's just, that's how honest. Because that's when you get empowered. When you know the truth, then you can work with what you have. Like for me, I grow my hair long and I keep my density way down here because I know my hair can't be big and round like I want it. And I have cut these pieces all the way up to here in hopes for that. It doesn't work. I've been trying it for years. It does not work. Your humility is refreshing. Oh, thank you. I changed the conditioner, got a ribbony feeling the second attempt. Light bulb moment. Yeah, that can be totally different. Jude, I freaking love your name. Every time I say it, I'm like, hey, Jude. It just comes out. When you marry the water and conditioner, how do you get it to the roots or do you leave it off them? I don't really put it at the roots. I'll kind of start here, but I will go like this. And right here, I have this whole patch right in here. This is a hormonal patch, you guys. And on a lot of people, it's completely different. It's like wiry and weird there, and it won't hydrate no matter what. But sometimes I have to get right there. It gets really dry. And so I'll kind of go up to the root. But I've already put the majority of it down here. And then I kind of move up and then squish in. Love, Allison. And now I feel like I have another resource in you after listening to this live. Oh, thank you. For the pre-posted questions that you asked for, but didn't get to, will you give typed answers in the post? Yeah. I mean, that's a great idea. I think that's my problem. I'm too curly. I want waves. It is, Rosa. I've seen your hair. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen your hair. And you know what? I give liberty to people to go back to straightening, why I had a whole blog titled Just Be Free Already and Go Back to the Flat Iron or something. Everyone was like, oh my God, you're a curl specialist and you're saying this. And I was like, I don't want you to hate your hair. I'm trying to be out here just liberating you to accept yourself. Yeah, but a lot of people have curly hair and they want it to be wavy. You'd be surprised how many people sit in my chair and say, oh, I just wish I had like waves. I don't like this curl, you know. It's so useful. I'm learning so much. Thank you. Thank you, you guys. We are at like 2 hours. I hope you guys learned some stuff. And next week with Allison's going to be so fun. I'll be nerding out watching too, and she's just fun. She's not just smart and articulate, but she's just fun. She's refreshing. She's like a breath of fresh air for sure. She's really real and fun. So I'll see you guys in the group. Just know that I read stuff. I'm reading what you're writing. I try to write back as much as I can. Mondays and Tuesdays and Sundays and every other Saturday I'm in the salon. So some days you'll see me a little bit more engaged than not, but know that I am reading and appreciate your learning and growing. And if you have questions, send me an email. Bye, you guys. Thanks so much.